Welcome back to our Champions League final preview with Perry Groves. Now, Perry, Kvaratskhelia, PSG, have a winger, I guess you could say top of his game, but top of the world game. Unreal player, isn't he, to watch? But Mikel Arteta says Timber is fit to start. I suppose the question is, after 70 days out, should he, and what would you do if you don't go with Timber?
First thing is, I'm glad you said his name and I didn't have to.
Said it quickly.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I know Arteta in his press conference, he said that he's available to start. And Arteta plays games with the media sometimes.
Is that a word game, is it?
He sends players out, didn't they, in the warm-up, you know, when the press are there, because it looks like they're fit, or he won't send a player out, it looks like not fit. If Timber had played maybe 45 minutes against Palace, then I'd chuck him in without a shadow of a doubt, because he's one of the best right-backs in the world. It's a big call for someone not to have played any match minutes at all since March to go in the biggest game in Europe, you know. So,
surely not Declan Rice, though. You can't put Rice back there, or would it have to be
I think he tried that once and then just thought, no, I'm not doing that again. And Zubimendi, obviously, he played it right back against Palace.
Yeah.
I think when he played Declan Rice against West Ham, everybody was like, heads exploded, and he thought, well, I tried that for 15 minutes. And he got away with it because he won the game 1-0. I personally, I'd put Mosquera there because he's very good 1v1. Like, Timber is probably the best right-back in the world 1v1.
Yeah.
Mosquera is very, very good as well.
And they'll need doubling up whatever, won't they? Whoever's right-back.
Yeah, but the thing is, Arsenal don't have any lazy players. If you're lazy, you don't get in the side. So Bukayo Saka will come back, obviously, to help out defensively. If you remember the Aston Villa game where Eze lost Matty Cash, where he ran behind him, he got the hook at half-time. And it wasn't because he was lazy, because he switched off. So they're the standards you're looking at. So every player, and what happens with Arsenal, when Arsenal go 4-4-2 without the ball, so the gaps between the back four, the midfield and the front two are always very, very narrow. So every player's going to have to do their job defensively, and Bukayo Saka, 100% he'll do it. Yeah,
fascinating to see if they can contain him. Now, I suppose Arsenal fans may be willing for Eze and Odegaard to start in the 11. I guess you could argue maybe Eze's highlight reel would be more eye-catching, but perhaps statistically Odegaard does pretty well when you look at chances created, etc. Who would you go with? Could you go with both?
Yeah, I think he'll go like a 4-2-3-1. I think Lewis Skelly will play, obviously, alongside Declan Rice. He said there, and then Itsu goes in the 10. You could put Odegaard in the 10, and then you could put Eze on the left-hand side instead of Trossard. But Arteta trusts Trossard, because Trossard gives you, again, that little bit of control. You know, he calms the game down and he keeps possession. So, if it was a choice, I'd actually go Odegaard in the 10, because I think he gives you that control as well. Like, confidence high, because he was brilliant against West Ham, and he sets the press off when they go in the 4-4-2 defensively. He leads that line. And
Eze off the bench offers that threat of pick the game up quickly.
To be fair, it's not a bad choice to have, is it, really? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so I think they're not subs anymore, are they? It's finishers or impactors, I think they are now, yeah. So it's a brilliant choice to have.
Yeah, borrow the finishers from rugby union, don't we, that term? Now, in attack, I suppose the question is it a man who scored in the Champions League final for Chelsea, as they won it in 2021, or is it Gyökeres, who in a lot of eyes has redeemed himself over the course of the season? Perry, I know you're a fan of Gyökeres, but who do you go with here?
I've been banging Gyökeres' drum all season, because I think there was a bit of snobbery when he came to us, because he was a bustling sort of centre-forward. Ends up with 21 goals, top goal scorer, 14 in the Premier League, and his team win the Premier League. So he's been a brilliant signing. But I think to start, I think Kai Havertz gives you that little bit more control, where he backs in, he can engage like centre halves. Obviously scored the important goal against Burnley, where he's a threat in the air. He scored a winning goal in the Champions League final, obviously for Chelsea. So see there, just rising really well in the middle of the 6-yard box, which is like a massive goal again, which eased all the pressure and tension and put the pressure back on Man City. So you've got a player who's got big game mentality.
And will he drop into midfield more than Gyökeres would?
Yeah, well, he'll link up more. You know, Gyökeres is, I'll engage the two centre-halves, get it in the channels, I'll bustle and hustle and create a bit of havoc. But I say, Havertz, he makes things look quite easy. When he backs in and he holds it up and he chests it or whatever, and he's got that language style, that's not easy, you know, when you're backing centre-halves. So, I would just go Havertz and then Gyökeres, again, impactor coming off the bench in the last sort of 25 minutes.
Yeah, nice to have options. What a player Havertz can play in so many positions. Let's go back to Darmesh in Budapest. And now Darmesh 2006, you'd imagine, lingers over the club's history, doesn't it? And I guess that will be in the thoughts and minds of a lot of Arsenal fans tonight, 20 years on.
Yeah, Teddy, you got to say, painful night, wasn't it, in 2006 in Paris when Arsenal faced Barcelona in the Champions League final. Jens Lehmann sent off early on. They even went into the lead through that Sol Campbell header, but then there was late hurt when Samuel Eto'o and Julian Belletti won it for Barcelona. I was in Hope Square in the Fans Festival earlier on this afternoon, and it's funny who you bump into. No less than one of the members of that 2006 Arsenal team. And Ashley Cole believes Arsenal can do what his team couldn't 20 years ago.
Yeah, I think that year for me was quite a difficult one. I had a lot of injuries, coming back from a broken ankle, and then had the opportunity to play in Paris, and probably didn't play to my top capability, and then you lose a game having maybe a few opportunities to win it. But
OK, let's get into this with Perry Groves then. Let's talk mentality, Perry. How important is it, the mentality going into this, and what is that mentality? Is it the free hit? Arteta denied that. Or is there a weight of history upon Arsenal because this is something they've never won before?
Well, I think it's a chilled mentality because in the Premier League, you could tell there was an anxiety, especially go back to the Bournemouth game, where every player was nervous and Bournemouth played really well. And that nervousness and anxiety, that can tire you because you tense up.
Feel it in the legs.
Absolutely. So what it is now is every player gets nerves. I don't believe any player that says they don't get nerves in their stomach, because if you don't get nerves, it means you don't care. But the way it's changed now for the Arsenal players is you can have nervous anxiety. Now they've got nervous excitement. There's a complete difference because they will relax. The pressure is eased. They can't be levelled up at the bottlers anymore if you come in second 3 times on a trot. And now they've won the Premier League, I think it will be a massive lift for them playing tomorrow, obviously in the Champions League final, because they'll just feel a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more sure of themselves. And they'll enjoy the 10 days from when, obviously, Bournemouth drew against Man City. All that anxiety goes. And they can actually live in the moment and enjoy those 10 days coming up to the final.
You thought the partying was good, didn't you, quickly?
Yes, absolutely, because it's all about team spirit and bonding. Obviously, they're together, and they earned the right to go out and party. If you win the Premier League, first time in 22 years, and there's all Arsenal fans, like me included, desperation, and you get desperation and you get a lot of stick from opposition fans and certain parts of the media that you're bottling it, you ain't got enough in your locker to win it. Then you win it, then you could have a wry smile, smug on your face, go, yeah, right, we're OK, and be careful because they could go on a run. Do you know what I mean? Because football's about dynasties, and they will want to create a dynasty. We'll
talk more about that ahead of next season, I'm sure. Let's talk about the Champions League, though. You know, as an Arsenal man, that it's always leveraged against you. Manchester City fans, Manchester United fans, Liverpool fans, Aston Villa fans. You've not won the Champions League. Are they the biggest club to have never won it?
You'd say so. We're definitely the club that's placed the most games in the European Cup and in Champions League without winning. I think it's 225. So I might get a tattoo tomorrow with 226 on it, obviously, if we win it. But it's a fair sort of criticism because a club as big as Arsenal, you'd expect to win maybe like 2 or 3, especially Arsene Wenger's reign. We had Invincibles, couldn't quite do it in 2006. So it's not a free hit, but the Arsenal fans going over to Budapest, it'll be like a joint stag and hen do. Do you know what I mean? Because they will be looking forward to it and they will be enjoying it and embracing it, and so will the Arsenal players. So I would say probably Arsenal are the biggest club never to have won the Champions League or old European
Maybe
Cup.
Atletico Madrid second was the kind of thought we had in the office, wasn't it? It was possibly.
Yeah, well, the semi-final was the 2 teams that played the most games in the competition without winning it.
Absolutely. Perry, you know what it's like to end a long wait without a title for Arsenal. The 71 double boys, I guess, were hanging over your sort of shoulders for a bit. You got past that in winning the title in '89 in those epic circumstances at Anfield. Immortality, I suppose, beckons for this group. Greatest ever Arsenal team on paper if they achieve this. Do you believe they can do it? Do you believe that they believe they can do it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if there's one team in Europe that PSG wouldn't want to face, it would be Arsenal because of the defensive strength. That it's not going to be a basketball game like we saw against Bayern Munich. You attack, we attack in the first leg. That ain't going to be like that. And they'll know that not only are Arsenal very good defensively, but it's the physicality. And I want Arsenal to be brave, you know what I mean, and impose themselves on PSG. And these are now, the words that I said 8 games ago, that they were 8 games from being the Immortals. They're 8 games away from being the greatest team that Arsenal have ever had. In my eyes, there's no argument in that, because if you win the Premier League and Champions League the same season, that's it.
And you expect to go after PSG? You want them to be on the front foot?
Yes, I think Arteta might surprise a few, because when we played up at the Etihad against Man City, we actually went for it, and a game could have gone either way at 1-1. You know, Ezek's inside the post, Havertz had a great chance. I think the players took a lot of confidence in that, where they thought, well, it was the Declan Rice, it's not done. I think they, in the dressing room afterwards, they'd have been devastated about losing, but I think they'd have got on the coach and thought, actually, we've just gone into one of the best teams in the country in their backyard, and we've taken the game to them. So I think, yeah, it could be a surprise tomorrow.
Yeah, amazing how Arsenal responded to that loss, isn't it, all those weeks on? Perry, thank you very much for now. Just a reminder to you at home, our viewer poll, Arsenal